I just ran my mother-in-law over with my car. I feel horrible. She's in the hospital. She says she might lose her leg. But guys, I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to backpedal a little bit and let you know how I even got into this predicament. Whatever I do, whatever I say, I would never hurt someone, I swear. I'm too scared to even hurt a fly. And now my mother-in-law's about to sue me because I accidentally hit her with my car when I was parking in the garage. Yeah, I'll explain what happened. My car broke down a fortnight ago, so we took it to the mechanic, and since then I've had to use my husband's truck. I don't like it that much because it's so tall and monstrous. It's a man's car, after all, whereas mine only has enough room for groceries. It has enough room to hide a horse or something. Anyways, so we've taken turns using his truck, and it was my turn that day before yesterday to go to the market. On the way back, I was careful to leave it parked in the garage, but since I'm a bit small, it's hard for me to see everything in the rearview mirror. According to her version of the story, my mother-in-law screamed and warned me, but I didn't hear anything. Perhaps because of the sound of the engine, but I did hear a thud, and when I got out thinking that I had scratched the bodywork, I realized that my mother-in-law was laying on the floor. She was right there writhing in pain. My brother-in-law arrived almost immediately, so he was tending to her. And thank goodness he did, because when I approached her, she pushed me away, telling me I was a murderer behind the wheel. I started crying immediately and thought about calling emergency, but she kept saying that we had to get to the hospital fast. Otherwise, she was going to lose her leg. Although, to be honest, it did not look like what could be classified as an emergency requiring amputation. But I guess in desperate times, people start talking nonsense. My brother-in-law took the keys and we took his mom to the nearest hospital, where she was treated immediately. Believe me, it was the longest hours of my life, hoping that nothing terrible would happen. My husband arrived after taking a taxi asking for his mom. At first, he was annoyed with me, but little by little, he got over that annoyance and became 100% concerned. When we got inside, we found the lady with her leg covered in bandages. She had suffered a slight fracture and would have to wear those bandages for quite a long time. There would be no operation or amputation, but a long recovery. I don't know if you know this, but in situations like this, the rehabilitation season usually takes months and involves a lot of money and effort. When we got to see her in the room, she was upset with me, and rightly so. She told me that she had warned me several screams when she was reversing in the garage, but I simply did not hear her. She was crouched down as she was going to look for something on the shelves in the garage, and when she saw I was imminently reversing, she panicked. Now, the story does not end there, as it gets a little sadder. Between medication and mobility therapies, we'll be out of pocket quite prudently, and my mother-in-law told me that she actually had some savings to be able to remodel the house, something she's been planning for years, apparently, and was deeply saddened to see that this is eventually going to happen, having to part ways with her money in such an unforeseen way. It was then that she offered a solution, which is the crux of the whole problem. You see, it was my birthday a little over a week ago, and my parents gave me nothing but a lake house. That is, the lake house we all had all our lives, which is a small place near the city, and where we used to spend every summer for as long as I can remember. They gave me the property as a birthday present, offering me the keys, so that my future growing family could also enjoy the same experience. Well, this is all about to change, as my mother-in-law suggested having the house as compensation for her leg. Even my husband was speechless when he heard this, and he actually told his mother that maybe it was a bit of a stretch. But the more that we said this, the stronger the woman's conviction to own the property became. I mean, Mom, she only had the house about a week. I feel it's a bit cruel, said my husband, pleading for me, but at this point I stepped in and told him that if the damage had been that bad, it might as well be compensation enough. Of course, my face as I said this was the face of utmost disappointment. My husband began to plead for me, saying that it was now his fault for the truck, and at one point he had even criticized his mother for not moving from the spot or shouting louder. But the lady felt attacked and began to cry. That's when we realized we had to stop for a while. She was still in shock from the hit, so Well, we couldn't judge her for wanting compensation for that. My relationship with her, well, I won't say that it's bad, but I won't say that it's been a rose garden either. Since I moved in with them, I've tried not to annoy my husband's family as much as I could, and ironically, having this new house, I was going to tell my husband to see if we could just consider moving there. And it's an extremely small place, but we might as well remodel the place and make it livable in ways we couldn't even imagine. But now there remains to be seen, because if my mother-in-law intends to take the house, we can say goodbye to that little future that I planned. As much as I don't like to accept it, I feel this opportunity is the actual golden goose for her, because ever since I got the house, she's been very excited about something like this. And well, at the party, when my parents revealed the surprise, I think she was the one who jumped up and down the most. Yep, saying that we should make plans to go there a couple of months, and I think fate is just, quite accommodating to some people. And I don't know if I've done something wrong that I'm paying for this in karma, but if so, I don't want to get hurt anymore. So tomorrow, I have to talk to my mother-in-law about it, as she's going to be discharged, and gosh, I don't even want to imagine how my parents will react. I can already see Dad's expression of disappointment, and maybe a well-deserved scolding. I've always been a person who likes to be peaceful and calm. While I was excited about the new house, I had to cling to the idea that I may get more satisfaction out of being able to be even with someone I hurt. And who knows, in the future, we might all go to that place and enjoy ourselves, leaving this bitter pill in the past. Update number 1. Hey guys, well, it's me again, and somehow the situation even got worse. Well, more complicated too, and now I'm a bit upset with my mother-in-law, absolutely, completely. You see, ever since what happened, my relationship with her has been pretty strained, and it's her own fault if you ask me. She has taken it upon herself to muddy my name in the short time that's passed since the accident, and now a lot of people are blaming me for what was really an accident. As much as I tried to apologize to her, my words did not seem to go through to her. And the worst thing about it, my parents were going to get themselves into the discussion, and when I talked to them, they said, quote, "How can that woman want to take your property? Because of an accident, it's unbelievable that that witch would be so heartless as to do something like that. And only a few days after your birthday." Well, that's what Dad said, and then he said he would talk to mother-in-law. But that would only fan the flame more, I'm afraid, and that's the last thing that I want. When my mother-in-law found out, she started sparking, and it got worse without even intervening first. Turns out she said that if it was that complicated about the house, then she would have to take some serious action to mention to the police how I, quote, "deliberately ran her over." We were all speechless when she said that. I mean, she's saying that if I don't give her the house, she's going to charge me with a crime. That must in turn be illegal, right? We all know I did not do it on purpose, and I'm surprised she's showing that side now. After all I've done for her? I won't say I've been an angel in her life, but at least I've helped with putting food on the table, cooking, cleaning. I've even helped her with some expenses a while back, waiting months before she paid me, and I did it because I already consider her family. After talking it over with her, she gave me a week to give her an answer about the house. But what can I say about it? I mean, my back is against the wall here, and if I don't give her the property, she'll start taking legal action, and I'm sure my parents will bring their lawyer friend to defend me. It's all so unnecessarily complicated. I'll take this week to think about it and give her an answer, but to be honest, I make my decision a long time ago. The worst thing is that this is also starting to affect my marriage, as my husband is tired of his work issues and doesn't want to go home to avoid more arguments. I feel like everything is just falling apart. Update number 2. 4 days later. Okay, this is huge. And if it's true, maybe the way I see my mother-in-law will change forever. Gosh, I think even my husband will stop talking to her after this. See, I've always had a good relationship with my brother-in-law. You know, the same one who helped my mother-in-law when the accident happened. He's kind, a few-word guy, and maybe that's why I just relate to him so much. And since everything happened, he's been suspiciously silent. But like in the way of look, I haven't heard him talking more than a few sentences during the week type. And that's pretty strange to me, even for him. This morning, during breakfast, he seemed tired, more tired than usual, and we were alone in the kitchen, so I start some chit-chat. I tell him, hey, you look awful. Did you get strolled by a road roller? At least this one would be an accident. What do you mean? And that's when everything opened up. He said he felt bad ever since the incident with his mom because he thought she might be lying to us. So I sat down and asked more about it, and he said that he thought his mom was very suspicious since my birthday, acting very weird. Like, for example, she was always talking about the lake house behind my back. Each time I left the house, she was talking with her friends about how she, quote, will have a new house at the lake, like the place was already hers. My brother-in-law said that the day the accident happened, she was acting weirder than ever. Sweating profusely, really nervous, like she knew something bad was about to happen. I thought, man, why is Mom acting so strange? I even asked her if there was something wrong and if I could help her with it. But she just said that nothing happened and that she should better go out or something. It was like she just wanted me out of the house. And if we put on the detective shoes, we can even guess that she wanted no one to be in the house at that moment. Of course, this is just mere speculation, and maybe we're thinking way too beyond the problem here, but at least I'm the one who wants the thought. Not my brother-in-law. He doesn't have a reason to be suspicious about his own mom. He's told me that taking my house from me is not a real solution. And let's say that he's not particularly pleased with his mother's decision. He's even talked to her to make her understand this, but she was tone-deaf according to him. She kept saying this was not his business and let me go through the decision. It's like she doesn't want anything to stand in her way. A really convenient way. If you ask me, let's face it, she was talking about this lake house ever since she heard about it, and mysteriously she now has a way to have it without paying a single cent. Destiny doesn't have that kind of consideration for people. Please say you understand me so I won't be alone in this. I've talked to my husband about this theory, and while he doesn't seem so thrilled about it, at least he says everything fits quite well. See, even he believes that. There's a small hope in all this, and my brother-in-law said he was trying to help me find an answer to the mystery. He's on good terms with his mom, he always has been, and he'll just try to make her talk so we can make sure it's all a hoax or not. Well, if this case is a hoax, it may be one of the worst things someone's ever done to me, and I won't repair on making her pay for all the damage she's done to me, both psychologically and physically. I've had a terrible headache from the beginning of this, guys, and I will move on with or without my husband if that's the case. I don't want to be around a jealous, manipulative, evil person such as her. Of course, just in case this is real and the woman has faked everything. Update number 3. 1 week later. It was true. It was all true. I can't believe it. Sorry for the long pause in the update, but I was dealing with the situation, and trust me, there's a lot to it. Turns out it was all a plan from mother-in-law, and it stemmed from my birthday. She was jealous of my gift, so started to think about how to get it. She went from suing me for any reason I don't know to faking an illness caused by me, and this was the main option in the end. She spied on me every move, my routine, every step I used to make so she could take advantage, and she chose to go with the route of the car. She knew our car situation and planned that day precisely to, quote, be hit by me. That's precisely why she did not want her son to be around the house, because she knew it would be too obvious. She never yelled to warn me about her in the garage. She just stood there and took the hit. I don't know, with a hammer or something, because she never revealed how she hurt herself. But the wound was too superficial. She could not even bear the pain. And she did excellent at acting, saying that, well, she would lose her leg, but none of this was real. She faked her pain to the doctor. And we asked the doctor. I was ashamed of doing this for our investigation, and he literally said no wonder she acted like that. That woman said it was the worst pain in the world, but the x-rays said it was all fine. I took it for granted because you never know the pain resistance of the patient. And how did we manage to discover all this, you're probably wondering? Well, thanks to my brother-in-law who offered to act as a spy for his own mom. After a few days, he got closer to his mother, helping her and taking care of her throughout her recovery, a process which, remember, is all fake, to the point where he was in a position to just ask her. He was very direct and asked her if she had really been hit by me or if she had faked the accident, and what she said is this. "Can I tell you a secret, boy? How much do you want your own house by the lake? Ever since I was a little girl, I've wanted one, and now that that little girl has it, I feel it belongs to me. I'm going to decorate it, clean it, and it'll be better than it ever has been, you'll see. I went to the garage myself that day and did what I had to do, and I hope you won't tell anyone. My leg does hurt, though, but that was on my own." And that's when the truth came out. To top it all off, my brother-in-law recorded the conversation, and, it was his idea, for evidence, and when I heard that, I felt like going to her room and putting the pillow over her face. But the story, it does not end there. Since I now know I had seen how I could unmask that woman without getting my brother-in-law in trouble, and although he told me that he did not mind telling her the truth is that it was going to leave him in an awful position, so I had to think of something. In the end, I had that meeting with my mother-in-law where I was finally going to give her the lake house. But when I was about to tell her the verdict, I blurted out, "No." "Excuse me," she said. I said, "No. I found out that you were faking it all, and I knew it because I hacked your son's phone." I was referring to my brother-in-law. "And I could overhear your conversation, silly. Just like she lied to us, I lied to her, saying that she exposed her own self and she was storming her guts out. From, quote, 'This is a violation of my privacy,' to, quote, 'How could you do this to me?' to her son. But as much as he wanted the blame, I said that he did nothing, and I was the one who planned all this. Now it was a battle to see who bested who. My husband said that it was the first time I looked so confident in a fight, but it was just because I knew the truth. Things went messy and dirty after that. I had several discussions with her where we had different point of views, and it was not until we decided to take it to court that she started to waver. Of course, and she had the odds stacked against her, it did not suit her well if it went any further. Although it wasn't my intention. My brother-in-law had to be brought into the discussion, and if there was one thing I felt really sorry for, it was that even though when I initially left him out of it, he stepped in to talk some sense into his mother and she started to cry to him, telling him this whole story about how she had always wanted a house on the lake or the beach since she was a little girl, but never could afford it. And her son privately told her that she was doing something wrong and she still wanted to continue. I don't know how that lady's mind works. But that's when I decided to gather information so I could plan my own form of revenge. And it was something as simple as leaving for a few days to go to the lake house to start remodeling it, and then put it on the market for sale, so that anybody could have it. Well, that made her furious to the point where she would write or call me every time somebody commented on the multiple posts I made about it. "Oh, beautiful house on the lake for sale. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a kitchen." And you won't believe how many people even offered other properties to have it. My mother-in-law went through all the stages of grief, even with negotiation, saying that she would, quote, "stop asking me for the house as long as she gave it to me once and for all." But you know what? I just turned a deaf ear. And note how all of this happened in the space of only 1 week. I kept telling her that if she admitted the deception, I would not only stop offering the house, but I would stop filing the charges, which I was still in view of doing. I already had the evidence and witnesses, my brother-in-law and the doctor who treated her, so I had absolutely nothing to fear. But she was still playing the accident game. I went so far as to threaten to leak the information of her deception to all the contacts, but this was only when she admitted that she no longer wanted the house. She threw a tantrum as if she were a little girl and said she no longer wanted it, even though deep down she was lying. She made one mistake, and that was to tell me, and I quote, "I did not have the guts to do that." So, I took my phone, mounted a picture of her saying she is mother-in-law, and now I will tell you her story. Although she's not a high conversation person, at least she's known in the area for being one of the oldest residents. So she does have respect of several people, but when I get this story out, the respect will go down the drain. I told her I was going to publish it, and when I saw that she did not respond, I did. I admit that the reaction was greater than I expected. I had about 10 messages almost right away, and she had at least 40. And just by leaving it on my stories for about 3 minutes. Some of my contacts even went so far as to mention several things about, quote, she never gave me my money back, and she took my earrings, and much more. It seems that even the most popular guy in the neighborhood has some stories too about her. And so much so that she screamed her head off, running over to where I was to start assaulting me. Thank goodness my husband was there just to hold his mother and restrain her. She was shooting sparks and I had to hide so she wouldn't hurt me. But how about that? Her leg magically started working like new, so I started recording her. Isn't this that I did not dare to post? Besides, what about your injured leg, the one you say I ran over? It looks good to me. This was enough to close the case, knowing that I could now very well release that video to my contacts as well. So she just confessed the truth, saying that she planned everything because, quote, she deserved the house more than I did, that I had not achieved the same that she has in life. But I told her that I didn't care about the comparison, as she was comparing me to a thief and a swindler, who did not care about cheating even her own family. And she told me that I was not her family, and it was then that my husband and her brother intervened. They asked me to stay away for a few days while they talked some sense into their mom. And here I am writing this all down for you guys. From what I've been able to talk to my husband about, the lady is calmer, but still quite upset and sad. He told me that if she continued like this, we might as well go to the lake house without her, so we could just clear our heads a bit, and I liked the idea. Then he confessed that it was my brother's idea, and I asked him to thank him for me. If there's something inside me that is still a little disturbed, it's the fact that if I had been able to understand my mother-in-law's thoughts better, I would have made the dream of many come true, and I would have backed myself up a little more in the truck, if you know what I mean. Final update 2 months later. I'm writing this to you as we're back from holidays, and guys, in the end, my mother-in-law could not beat me, and I feel that every tanned inch of our bodies was worth it. She brags about being able to enjoy the holiday, but all in all, my mother-in-law accepted her defeat, and was frightened that we were going to counterclaim against her. You know, having the evidence on the table. Moreover, at one point we even considered threatening her for pretending to overspend and asking us for her secret savings. But we decided not to and put our focus on something better. Our own family. I've been thinking about this whole trip, wanting to write to you, but I was without a signal on the lake. And to be honest, I didn't want to write or remember bad experiences in those days. And that's my husband and I are already considering having a baby. I'm going to start going to the doctor to see if everything's in order so we can plan ahead. We're moving to the lake house since my husband has already seen it and loves it. Well, that means money. Lots and lots of money, but I think we will sell the truck and my car to have one big family vehicle, and with that extra money, renovate the home. Build an extra bedroom, maybe an extra bathroom, you know what I mean? Make it as comfortable as possible for the new baby. Oh, right, and in case we have visitors in the future, which I'm looking forward to. I admit I feel a bit bad since the holidays also involve my brother-in-law, to whom I'm very grateful, but right in the middle of it all, his mother wrote to him, saying she felt bad and did not want to be alone. We think these are lies, and she's just doing it to draw attention to how envious she was of our holiday. But still, he's her son, and he has to help her in any way that she can, without leaving her alone, so my husband wanted to argue about it, but there was nothing that we could do. It was something that put a bit of a damper on our trip, as my brother-in-law had taken a, quote, friend with us, and out of the blue, the trip had to be cut short for them. But in the future, we'll have better conditions, and we will invite him every summer to spend a few days with us. My job is remote, and my husband is seeing if he can move his company headquarters, although the offices are less than an hour from the lake anyways. There's a chance that at some point he won't have to go all week. It was very funny because the other day I went shopping again in the truck. Despite what I said, I continued to use it a bit, something I didn't think that would happen, but as I pulled into the garage, I heard a thud, and I thought I had once again hit a shelf. You know, scratching the bodywork, especially bad if we want to sell the car, but in the end, it was just a little box of Christmas decor. Then mother-in-law showed up and ducked out of the house with an annoyed look on her face when I said from the car, "Watch out back there." I ended up laughing my head off after that one.